Step outside of the city, take a really deep breath, smell the sweet scent of lilac and honeysuckle, and the mossy odor of freshly plowed earth, signaling the beginning of another Michigan growing season. With over 45 crops grown in Michigan, it's hard to imagine sitting down to a meal and not eating food that has passed through the hands of a migrant worker. From early spring plantings to late fall harvests, migrants are the engine of Michigan's $11 billion agricultural industry.
A lot of people don't realize that in Michigan we have 45 crops that have to be hand harvested. Other crops can be machined, but we still have 45 of them that have to be picked by hand. And those 45 crops alone have a market value in Michigan of over $11 billion. So our agricultural industry as a whole is second only to the auto industry in what it generates to the economy of Michigan.
That migrant force that comes into the state of Michigan, or any state really, not just Michigan per se, is a vital part of that area and of that community. And it affects everybody, from the gas station owner to the grocery store owner to the farms themselves. All of them benefit by that. Other years way back, we used to have a few locals, but they wouldn't last. They would work a few days, and it was too hard to work, and they would find an excuse not to show up.
Our migrant population is dedicated not only to make money and send money back home, but they're so dedicated to the people who come and work for.
By definition, a migrant worker is most often a farm worker who travels to Michigan to live and work during the growing season. The Michigan economy relies heavily on nearly 160,000 migrant, seasonal, dairy, and settled-out workers. But life for these families is a hard one.
No, I just stopped at the farm and saw a worker there and asked if they were hiring. I worked for 2 weeks and he didn't pay me, didn't come through with the money. This year, I thought the apple crop was looking better, so I'd make better money this year. We don't have a fridge to put meat in or pop. We couldn't cook or anything because we didn't have gas. Around the bathhouses, there's lots of rats because they don't cut the grass short.
I wanted to come here. I heard you could make more money. I thought I'd better my life by coming here and working.
Everyone said you could come here and make a lot of money, but they don't pay good.
Obviously, the economy and the bad financial situation, it's bad for everyone, but I think it impacts harder on those who are below poverty level, and particularly the working poor, like migrants.
When you see children working in the fields, it can come from a number of reasons, and some of them are that they need the children to work to earn money, that the family needs the money that all of the hands picking can bring just to survive and pay for their travel and transportation and food and basic needs. And some of the time it's that the children were not allowed to enroll in a daycare program because the admission worker didn't understand that they were eligible to be in daycare, or it could be that they had a problem enrolling in the school system. So those are issues that Migrant Legal Aid will help with when we see those types of things.
For migrant families, Migrant Legal Aid is often the only lifeline they have for equal treatment under federal and state law. Few fully understand their legal rights to a healthy work environment, fair wages, safe housing, public benefits, or immigration law.
There's a great deal of ability in Migrant Legal Aid to handle a range of things that makes it a very effective organization. Because of the knowledge and the experience, they're respected in the agricultural industry and in the broader community, so that a lot of times problems can be solved without the need for going to court.
In the
fields there are a lot of pesticides that they throw on the vegetables or the fruits. And that can be very harmful to the people that are working in the fields.
MLAP has made tremendous strides with both working with the Michigan Department of Agriculture as well as with Farm Bureau and individual farmers to make conditions safer, not only for the farm workers, but for the farmers themselves as well as their families. We still hear reports of people being sprayed in the field, and it's not unusual for children to be out in the fields working with their families, and the crop duster comes across and sprays them and with this toxic material.
Sí, pues unos 15 minutos, 20 minutos.
To use the bathroom, sometimes you have to walk 15, 20 minutes. After Migrant Legal Aid started speaking to them, they started putting more portable bathrooms.
At that time, there was no requirement for migrants to have access to any toilet facilities when they're working in the field. They would work hours, many hours, with no ability to have a porta-john, just basic privacy and dignity in terms of using toilet facilities.
During the past 35 years, Migrant Legal Aid has been dedicated to helping ensure equal rights for Michigan's low-income farm workers and their families. With annual income averaging $7,500, most families struggle to meet basic needs.
The migrants are vulnerable based on their isolation. They live and work in rural areas, and also because of the language barrier. And then they're also not sophisticated with regard to the American legal system or any legal system, because they simply have not had to use one before.
I think Michigan Migrant fits a niche in the delivery system that certainly Legal Aid of Western Michigan doesn't serve, is not able to serve, is not equipped to serve.
Migrant Legal Aid provides programs and services to help ensure migrants earn the minimum wage, live in safe housing, work under safe and sanitary conditions, and have equal access to justice. Migrant Legal Aid's 5 areas of service are: advocacy. Migrant Legal Aid provides leadership in educating the migrant community about the proposed changes in the law and their potential impact on the community. Education. Migrant Legal Aid provides community legal education to migrants in the areas of health, education, employment, safe housing, public benefits, civil rights, worker safety, and immigration. Housing. Migrant Legal Aid provides outreach services to the camps where migrants live to assist them in obtaining their legal rights to safe and suitable housing. Legal representation. Migrant Legal Aid provides legal advice and representation to migrants regarding their employment, minimum wage, right to suitable housing, education, health and public benefits, civil rights, and worker protections. Referrals. Migrant Legal Aid serves as a hub of resource information for migrants and provides the best resource and contact information available for community agencies serving those needs. Over the last few years, Migrant Legal Aid has seen an influx of migrant women and their children who are victims of domestic violence or sexual assault needing legal assistance.
Domestic violence and sexual assault seems to be increased in immigrant populations based on increased stress levels. And so right now it's very difficult for any woman who is a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault to access services. There are a number of barriers. She might be afraid of her abuser, she might not know the legal system, she might not know what rights she has or what kind of relief she can get. And that's complicated by the fact that if she's an immigrant, she has one of these certain visa categories, or she's eligible for one of these visa categories, and her family law issues need to be dealt with in conjunction with immigration issues.
Without new programming, the best Migrant Legal Aid can do is help vulnerable victims and their children find food and shelter while attempting to connect them with both a bilingual family law attorney and a bilingual immigration law attorney.
One of the things that I struggle with as the director is not having enough funds to provide needs in all of the areas that we see, and the needs are increasing as the Hispanic population and the migrant population increases.
Domestic violence is a real issue, and ladies are getting beat, and there's I see arrests for it all the time. It's in the paper every week, especially in the winter months when these guys aren't working but they're living around here. But that's a service that is needed.
Migrant legal aid is not always in an adversarial position with farmers and growers and that sort of thing. There are many, many programs and things that we can provide for the farmers, just like domestic violence. We have found that 80 to 85% of the agricultural farming community treats migrant workers very, very well, and it's kind of like the rest of society. It's not the 85%, it's the 10 or 15, 20% that keep us busy trying to secure those human rights.
While funding is always a challenge, the staff of Migrant Legal Aid is dedicated to defending migrants and the social justice issues faced daily. Working for much less than could be earned in private practice, the staff constantly strives to improve conditions for those who toil in the fields. Grants and contributions are essential for growth.
Our largest contributor is the Michigan State Bar Foundation, and thankfully that is a foundation that is set up by the attorneys in Michigan who are well aware of the legal needs of our most vulnerable population, and so they are our biggest supporter and take us as far as they can with the amount of services that we provide right now.
The Michigan State Bar Foundation has supported Migrant Legal Aid for over 20 years with grants to fund the services they do. Migrant Legal Aid is a participant in the Access to Justice campaign and has raised funds through the Access to Justice campaign for many years. Donors who learn about Migrant Legal Aid, often on their own, when they see the Access to Justice campaign, will also give support.
Well, I think they've been used very wisely, and I think the fact that they're looking at doing their own space, their own building, certainly will make the limited resources they do have even more effective and efficient.
As Michigan is bleeding jobs in other industries, the importance of the agricultural industry is going to take prominence over the next several years, and at the root of that is the migrant farm worker. And we need to make sure that we are looking at that community and advocating for that community and preserving our agricultural industry in Michigan just for the sake of our own economy.